a dead moth here, so you don't want that to go in there with your spark plugs. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Philip with Geared Towards Automotive, and today we're going to be changing the spark plugs in a 2012 Hyundai Elantra. I'm not a mechanic, I'm just an average Joe, so this is pretty easy for me, so it should be pretty easy for you. Again, it's a 2012 Hyundai Elantra. It's a 1.8 liter engine, and everything's pretty easy to access and get to in here, which makes it a little bit easier for anybody to do it in their garage. You can knock it out in probably about a half hour, if that. So without further ado, let's jump into changing the spark plugs in a 2012 Hyundai Elantra. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is obviously pop off this cover. There's a point here, 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 and here. I've already popped it off kind of initially, so just give it a good tug, and then it comes off, and you'll see these little points there, where it's connected. So you can kind of toss this to the side for now, or use it to collect all of your bolts and your parts. Now that we have that top piece off, we can access everything and get to where we need to see. So it's basically only about 3 or 4 steps, super easy. You need a 10mm socket, a flathead screwdriver, and of course an extension rod to get down in there, and you know, a drill if you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself. So you're gonna take your flathead screwdriver, and first you're gonna pop off these little wire harnesses. I've already got all 3 of them popped off. I just left one for you to see. So there's a little tab right here, it's connected. You're gonna reach in here and just kind of wiggle this flathead screwdriver, and it'll pop the tab. Be careful not to break it, be gentle with it, take your time, and then pop this little wire harness off. That's the first step. You're gonna do all 4 of those as the first step. Once you have all of these wire harnesses off, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is grab a 10mm socket, and then each of these bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're pretty easy. You're just gonna get down in there and undo all of those, and that's going to, and you're gonna pull them out. That's gonna loosen the coil right above the spark plug. So once you're done with the first one, you're gonna go ahead and do that with the next 3, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, once you have those bolts taken out, right there, you're gonna have the coils located right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There was a misfire in 3, so hopefully this fixes that problem. If not, I'll show you how to change these. It's actually the same thing. Instead of getting down into the coils, you're gonna have to just change these out. So let's start with the spark plugs, see what happens. But you're just gonna kind of twist these till they break that little seal. It's like a water seal, and you're gonna take that out. That's what the coil looks like. So you're gonna take all 4 of those out, just set those up here. They're pretty easy to take out. Just twist like that, boom, and last one. And if there's any dirt or debris on there or right around there, you're gonna wanna kinda clean that up, because you don't want any of that crap to fall in there. Looks like a dead moth here, so you don't want that to go in there with your spark plugs. And then down in those holes are where we're gonna take out these spark plugs next. Now that we have the coils off, the next step would be to get down in there and take out the original spark plugs. So you're gonna take the 10mm off, and then I have this spark plug socket. I just bought at the store, I didn't have one, and it adjusts too. So if you're down on an angle in your car and you can't really get straight above, these are actually pretty cool. This one's from Duralast. So all in all, it cost me like $45 for the spark plugs and a couple different parts, this extension rod and this. So once you get those out, I have the double iridium spark plugs, and these are pre-gapped. So you don't need to use that little tool to make sure they're the right measurement. You can just stick them right in and get going. So let's do that now. Once you unscrew the spark plug, you want a magnetic piece to pull it out. It just makes life a whole lot easier, and it's like $2 extra. Once you're done wrenching away at that, you can pull it right up. Sometimes you can grab it with the actual tool itself. Sometimes you'll need to take the coil, stick it back in there, and then pull up the spark plug. I may have to do that with one of these other 3, but hopefully it's easy like this for all 4 of them. So take the old one, kind of put it up here, and you want to look and kind of see how dirty it is. This one looks pretty bad. These have been in here for a while, so I'm pretty sure it's definitely time to get new ones. This vehicle has about 107,000 miles, so it's definitely time for new spark plugs. Whether it's the issue with the third cylinder misfire or not, it definitely needs new spark plugs. All right, so now that I have all of the spark plugs out, we're gonna put the new ones in. So be very, very careful. Just take this extension rod and kind of hand tighten them in there first, and then you can crank them in there. You don't want to over tighten or strip them out, because then you're screwed and you got to get new ones and start all over again. Also, super important, don't drop these, because if you drop them, typically on concrete, it's going to change the gap, so they're not going to work properly. So just try to take them out, carefully put them right in. All right, once you feel that that is tight, then you can grab the socket and crank it down a little bit more. Once you're done putting those spark plugs in, do everything I just showed you how to do in reverse order. So put the coils back in, put the 10mm bolts back in, and then put your wiring harnesses back on and connect those there. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Geared Towards Automotive. I'm Philip. We'll see you next week on next week's video.